hello, a very good morning or good afternoon, wherever you might be in the world. Thank you very much for joining this Linode Introduction for Partners webinar. I know there are lots of webinars happening at the moment. It's webinar saturation everywhere, so thank you very much for taking some time out of your day to come and join this one. It is very much appreciated. If you're watching the recorded version, where's your commitment? Why aren't you here live? I'm joking, of course. I don't mind how you're here. It's just great to have you. So all good. Hopefully you've got a reasonable idea of what this is all about, what we're going to be covering. I put this session together basically to fill in some gaps. So you might be an existing partner, perhaps, who maybe just wants a refresh on what it is we do. Somebody maybe just downloaded some of our content or seen some of our stuff around. Maybe you've been accosted at an event. We're at IT Nation just recently, so it may well be that you've just been stopped in the aisle and forced to scan to have your badge scanned or enter a competition, and maybe that's how you've ended up here. However it is, anyway, welcome. Essentially, this is about letting you know what we do. So basically, you can decide, is this something that actually is going to be of benefit to my business as a managed service provider, IT services company, developer, agency, whatever category you might fall into. So a quick introduction to me. I'm James. I've got a range of different job titles, it seems, but I'm basically an ambassador for all things partner within the business. My job is kind of to get out there in the community, not only raise the profile of Linode, but also kind of listen to what the partners are saying. So we're creating the right content, we're guiding the product experience as it should be, together with our wonderful partner team who do a similar kind of thing. I'm based in the UK, so I'm from London originally. I work remotely from Manchester in the northwest of England. I'm not a Manchester United fan. I'm an Arsenal fan, which makes me pretty popular around here, as you can imagine. While I'm on the topic of location, please feel free again, pop in the chat. I'd love to know whereabouts you are in the world. I see we've got some interesting locations there distributed all over from what I've seen in the registrations. I'm joined by the wonderful Jo Kersey, who is the Senior Partner Advisor at Linode. She'll be in the chat helping out with questions, anything I can't cover, which is quite possible. If she doesn't know it, it's probably not worth knowing. So thanks for joining us, Jo, and feel free to ask any questions as we go along. I'd like to try and keep it, interactive would be great. Quick look at what we're going to cover today. I'm hoping to wrap this all up into 30 minutes. I'm going to go quite quickly. If you want to arrange a deeper dive on any of it, particularly some of the technical aspects, then please just let us know. We'd love to have a chat to you separately. In terms of the main points we're going to cover today, we're going to do a quick intro of who we are. We're going to answer the main question we get asked when talking to partners out and about. Why work with a company like Linode? We already use AWS or Azure. Why should I think about using an alternative? Quick run through of what we do in terms of the core services. I'll look at some of the use cases that we see among MSPs and other types of partners. We'll touch on the marketplace. So we've got a one-click marketplace, so some of the applications in there. Quick overview of the partner program. And if you make it to the end, we'll buy you a coffee in the form of a Starbucks voucher. I should point out, that's only in regions where Starbucks is supported, because I got caught out on this before. And it was a complete nightmare trying to get coffee to people in various different locations who weren't supported at all. So, yeah, I'm afraid that is a caveat. So a quick look then, who are Linode? If you've never heard of us before, I like to start off with this. So this is simple. It's your infrastructure as a service diagram. So let's just break this down. So I think this helps categorize where we fit. So you've got the SaaS layer, as you can see on the left there. These are your specific sort of user-focused applications, normally accessible via web browser, things like Teams, Salesforce, Dropbox, and that kind of thing. The next one along is your PaaS, so that's your platform as a service. These basically are applications, sometimes known as sort of middleware. Basically, they're things like a web server or development containers or databases. They're the layer below that allow that end application to run. The next layer down is us. So we fall into the infrastructure as a service category. So we are literally the building blocks, the foundations for whatever it is you're trying to run. So this is compute, storage, networking infrastructure. When you use us, you are literally creating virtual instances, so VMs, and basically deploying, whatever sort of operating or Linux distribution, basically, that you want, Debian, Ubuntu, whatever it will be of your choice. So we take care of the infrastructure. We make sure the network's performing. The applications, that's for you. Obviously, we guide and we have documentation on it, but essentially that's our back. You can, of course, combine what we do, our cloud infrastructure, with some on-premise hardware, which gives you that hybrid cloud model we're seeing quite a lot of at the moment. And also in some typically larger companies, you'll see developers like to split workloads. So sometimes it makes sense to run certain applications on different providers. So split them up depending on their relative strengths, often costs as well. And this is what's termed kind of multi-cloud. That's probably more a marketing term, I suspect, but that's what it's referred to as. As you can see, we are a truly global organization, and we've got the footprint to match there. What you're looking at is a data center location map. Or in the US, we've got a really good footprint in EMEA and APAC. We're expanding that very rapidly. I'll touch on that in a second. So we've got good coverage there. I'll send you this, by the way, this copy of this presentation if you want to just check the map out and stuff. It's also on our website. At a glance, just so you know, it's very well established. We've been around for a long time. We actually beat AWS to the market by 3 years. So that's our kind of claim to fame. So we're very well established. We have 5,000 servers. We're about 250 employees at the moment within the Linode compute element, that is. And then we've got around about 500 partners at the moment. We are very much about open source. So, that is our thing. When you're looking at why you use us, we're all about things that won't lock you in necessarily. Applications that are often free, that you can customize. And so open source is very much at the heart of what we do. I should have started off by saying we're actually based in Philadelphia. You might be interested to know. So you can just about see our beautiful head office there in the background. I should have made that slightly more transparent, but it's a really wonderful location. But of course, we've got our data centers globally. One of the questions we get quite a lot is, okay, so you're an alternative to the big three, but kind of who can I compare you against? Who are you like? And this is, if you look here, this is what we call, it's kind of, some people call it the alternative cloud category. It's the alternatives that we're similar to other companies like DigitalOcean. You've got OVH Cloud there, Cloud, Hetzner, and some other ones. I think DigitalOcean is probably the largest player in this space. And what's interesting is when you look at us as a category, those together, it's a real growing market because we're close to the size of Google Cloud in terms of their exposure, their customers. So it's a rapidly growing market. What's interesting for us is that things have changed recently because back in February, we were acquired by Akamai, which is really interesting. So if you've not heard of Akamai, $3.5 billion turnover company, they have basically what's pretty much termed as the largest content delivery network in the world. So any content you're being served in the way of websites or web content is likely to be traveling over Akamai's network at some point. So it's a fantastic matchup. They also have a range of sort of top right Gartner quadrant services, API, application security, zero trust security, account takeover protection, DDoS, literally industry leading DDoS. It's an impressive security set. So what's interesting for us here is it gives us quite a unique position. So you've got various different choices. You can either go with a hyperscaler, as you can see on the left-hand side, often quite complex. There's cost associated with that. All their services are proprietary, so there's an element of lock-in often. On the right-hand side, obviously they've got fantastic scale though. On the right-hand side, you've got cloud providers who, like us, who do offer that simplicity and also that kind of personal support that you might not get from the larger companies, but that don't have that same scale and reach as the hyperscalers. Well, with Akamai and Linode together, you've now got that combination of the simplicity, the support, but you've got the reach as well. So it's a really exciting partnership. I wanted to share that with you because I think it's quite important. I won't labor this point because it's probably more of one that's interesting internally, but I think it's quite interesting to get your head around. In terms of the vision, so with this Akamai Linode partnership, we've got cloud compute on the left-hand side there, and basically it's showing you, at the moment, we've got tens of locations of fully capable stacks in data centers, servers, block storage, all the services that I'll talk to you about in a second that we offer. Then in the middle, you've got kind of like a more lightweight version of that. So lightweight compute at distributed locations, hundreds of locations. So you've got fully blown compute in tens. You've got a lighter weight compute at hundreds of locations. And then you've also got Akamai's edge, so effectively the CDN, which is taking all of that data, all your applications, and bringing it right to the edge across thousands of locations and over 100 countries worldwide. So, hope you followed that. That is the vision. That is why this has happened, and it's an exciting one because it basically means your compute is going to be beautifully distributed everywhere as we start to let the relationship sort of mature. So, all very exciting, I hear you say, and what do you do today? So let's have a quick look then. This is our core offering today. So by far our most popular and sort of bread and butter service is our virtual private servers. So we offer a shared CPU offering. You do run the risk of having sort of noisy neighbors. So I say when I'm talking to business customers like yourselves, I'd expect you to be choosing a dedicated CPU effectively. So all the hypervisor resources are yours. There's nothing shared there, guaranteed resource. What's nice is that you can actually convert. So if you need to, you can convert a shared to a dedicated. You can move up and down in terms of sort of specifications of those machines. And that I know was really popular during COVID in particular because partners obviously wanted to be able to sort of scale based on what's happening with their clients. So we also offer the higher memory configurations. So if you look in, we have a cloud manager, which I'll touch on. You can basically just choose what would you like. Do you want a dedicated? Do you want a high memory sort of deployment? That is basically to sort of bolster your compute power effectively. So when you need it, if you've got any sort of things like enterprise level databases, that kind of stuff, we need to bolster that sort of compute power. Similar concept with the GPU. So we do the GPU option as well to bolster. That's typically used for things like like AI or maybe like machine learning. And lastly, we have a production-ready Kubernetes cluster. So if you're wondering what on earth is Kubernetes, check out our site, check out our Linode YouTube channel. It's containerized, basically containers that will scale depending on your application needs. And it's a massively growing area. I was at KubeCon this year and it was staggering the amount of money and vendors and developers throwing their attention at this space. So, but we have a fully production-ready, with a high availability control plane, and basically you can scale this to whatever your application needs. So you can deploy that from within the cloud manager. We also do storage. So we have a number of different storage options. So you've got block storage. We've also got highly available S3 storage. So that's S3 is the S3 compatible. That's object storage. It basically doesn't require a server. So if you're using something like an MSP 360 or one of the backup tools, you can back up to that. And basically, although maybe it's not, we don't really compete on price with the S3 storage, but it is high performance, highly redundant. So it's really for that sort of mission critical data. So it's a great option to have there. And again, you can deploy it from within the cloud manager. So basically, upload is totally free, and you get up to 1 terabyte of outbound traffic, after which it's basically just cents on the dollar anyway. We also offer the Linode backup service, where that automatically creates and stores local backups of your Linode on a daily, weekly, and bi-weekly basis. So you've got it there for quick restoration. One of the reasons that a lot of customers like to come to us is that we use a NVMe storage, and I won't go on about it now, but it's fast, really fast, and it's very expensive with the alternative providers. The bigger boys, the hyperscalers. So it's worth doing a little bit of research on that. And there's a great report there. It's a benchmark report, shows you just how fast that storage is. So it might be of interest. Feel free to take a look at that when you get a second. We have database options, fully managed, Mongo, MySQL, and Postgres. So you can basically deploy a managed database cluster, production ready. We'll take care of the configuration, make sure it's highly available, cover off the disaster recovery backups. And that's backed up every 24 hours. You can deploy these on shared, dedicated, or the high memory plans, basically, that I touched on a minute ago there. So you've got those options there. We also offer a range of networking services. So we've got this is free. We've got free DDoS protection. It's like always on sort of real time protection against denial of service attacks. You see our node balancers there. So that's load balancing, as you probably guessed. That basically lets you kind of intelligently route any kind of incoming requests to your sort of back-end Linodes, as we call them, so your virtual private servers. Basically helps you sort of cope with any increase in traffic. We also provide monitoring via the cloud manager for that as well, so you can see exactly what's going on. You get a free cloud firewall, so you can have total control over your traffic to and from Linodes. And we've got the high availability DNS management. So you've got a full control over your DNS there. Just change the name servers to us, and you've got a really nice control panel there to be able to sort of make any changes that you need to give you that control. You've also got the VLAN option, so you can have pretty much your own layer 2 network between your Linodes. So you can create up to 10 of those per data center. Pretty much gives you total control over your network devices, so you can see what network devices have access to which location. Good for security, obviously. Also handy if you want to keep an eye on cost and what your transfer allocation is and how that's going. We have an applications marketplace. So this is open source applications that we've used scripts to make easy to deploy, essentially. So if you use these a lot, nice and easy to roll these out. They're fully configured one-click apps. We've got all sorts in there. There's the ones you'd expect, WordPress, cPanel, and there's a whole load of sort of MSP favorites. I'll touch on that. If you have any applications that you come across, great open source apps that you think, okay, this would be useful to have in there. I think others might benefit from it, or I'd just like to have it, simple to deploy. We can add those. We're always looking to build out this marketplace. Put a lot of work into that at the moment. You can deploy it straight from the website. Or you can go into what I'm showing you there is the cloud manager. So where you deploy your Linodes and things, you've got the option there. You can literally just fire it up from within there in seconds. So kind of going back to the hyperscaler thing, can you imagine being able to deploy applications quite as fast and easy as that? You literally pick your location and away you go. So it's pretty straightforward. So our kind of philosophy is simplicity and self-service, pretty much. But particularly as an MSP, or whatever type of partner you might be, it's quite likely you're going to come across sort of complex solutions from time to time. So we offer a couple of different hands-on services that you can take advantage of if you'd like to. We'll take a quick look at the managed service. This is the best way to think of this is really as like a sort of incident response service. So it's basically about monitoring, tracking uptime, responsiveness of applications. And basically, if a check fails, one of our team then takes a step straight away to get that back online and quickly as possible. Also includes, so if you commit to a few months or 3 months of the managed service, you get free site migrations as well. So you can move move from any host to Linode, nice and easy. Plus, you get a discount on our professional services, which I will touch on. This is quite easy. I mean, we pretty much have some incredible knowledge and expertise in-house. I'll touch on the support side, but in terms of the consultancy and the engineering team, they are there to help you. So we offer a professional services sort of setup. It doesn't matter really what you're looking to do. It's completely custom. You can, whether you want to deploy web application servers, content management systems, mail servers, database servers, application frameworks. If you've got perhaps an installation running in AWS, and you're thinking, okay, well, how can I replicate that in Linode? Perhaps I want to look at some more open source alternatives. We can talk about that, taking it, making it highly available. One-off projects, basically, we're talking about here. So you can take advantage of that. So just to let you know, that is available. Individually priced, you normally pay like half up front and then half at the end. So it's well worth knowing. We've got your back if there's any more sort of complex requirements. Quite an important topic. Why would you use us? So I'll go through this fairly quick. It's never a good thing to just compete solely on price. I have to mention it because it's such a big deal, obviously, at the moment with all sorts of price increases from the big players, with energy costs rising. And anyway, with the complexity of those services, there's a huge difference in the cost of something like Linode than there is with AWS, for example. So there's a whole load of reasons for that. I think it's not that AWS should be a total Linode should be a replacement for AWS, because there's lots of things that they do. If you're watching reInvent, you'll have seen there's lots of things they can do that you wouldn't be able to do in Linode necessarily. They have 200 plus services. But if you're looking for that basic, easy to use, scalable compute based on open source, then there's an opportunity there to save a lot for your customers. So if if customers are wondering why their sort of cloud bills are getting a little bit too high, it's a good conversation to be having, and it's good to know there's that option there. To help you get an idea of exactly what the costs are going to be, you can have a look, see what the savings are. If you want to head over, we have a price estimator. It should be linked within your console there. So you can have a look, use the sliders. Essentially, you get a big chunk of free data transfer, which helps. The pricing is nice and predictable. It's the same across all data centers. And of course, you get all your those free networking services bundled in. So those things combined make it a really compelling proposition. So head on over, take a look at the savings to be had. We also do the pricing calculator. So this is basically lets you specifically choose, okay, I want a high memory deployment with X amount of RAM, and gives you just that option. It's by no means as complex as what you might have seen with some of the larger players. It's a very nice, easy to use calculator, but just outputs a PDF at the end if you want to have this is exactly what my cost is going to be. Something I hear a lot, and I'm pretty sure you're going to be familiar with this if you use one of the hyperscalers, is when you're quoting a project, you never quite know whether there's going to be either hidden costs or additional expense at the end of the month. So a lovely thing about the Linode services are that we bundle in CPU, transfer, storage, and RAM into a nice monthly cost. As I said, same across all geographies. So it's really straightforward to just grab your pricing for a customer. That's not going to change. You can actually quote with confidence and know that you're not going to have to take a hit at the end of the month because you miscalculated or there's been a spike in bandwidth or whatever, something along those lines. So, it's a really big win with a simpler price model like that. We have 3 ways you can deploy the nodes and control them, administer them. We've got the Cloud Manager, which you can see there on the screen. You can also connect to our services by a really nicely documented API. So, you can fire up services from within your own portal, depending on what capabilities you have there. Of course, you've got the command line as well. But obviously, a massive deal for us is that this is super simple. You can see there just about, if you follow it through, it's how to deploy a Linode, use it, distribution, location, a couple of SSH details, and bosh, that's it. You're away. So really, really very straightforward to deploy. That's backed up by by a few awards there. As you can see, we get awards based on the fact that we're super easy to use, and you can see there G2 Capterra, I think it is, giving us those. So really important for MSPs that you're not wasting too much time on deploying services when you should be basically earning money and making the most of those billable hours. The other reason, which is I'd say right up there with the top ones, is that our support is not only 24/7 zero tier, so you literally can pick up the phone and speak to somebody, but all of our guys and girls are Linux certified administrators. So it's truly an expert support team. There's loads on the website. We take our support massively seriously, the philosophy behind it. Everyone in the business has to sit in support for 2 days. We win a lot of awards for it. It's something that we pride ourselves a lot on. One of the reasons I joined the business, because I know how important this is to partners, and the reputation kind of speaks for itself. So I'm you've got that as a partner from day dot. There's no sort of spend commitments or anything to get access to that technical support. So again, if you're looking at the alternative, larger providers, you've got to spend quite a bit to get that kind of experience. I'll flick through this bit. We've got amazing documentation as well. We spend a lot of time on our docs. You can see on the left-hand side there's a docs section. Everything you want to know about Linode is in there. Great for, if you just need to check some configuration options, you need a sort of a walkthrough. Our YouTube channel, that's the main Linode one, not the partners one, has endless walkthroughs, particularly of things like the applications. So if you want to have a look at, say, I don't know, Nextcloud or something, and see that deployed, and a sort of a review of it used in action. The content is absolutely brilliant on the Linode YouTube channel, so I highly recommend you check that out. This slide is just to illustrate that this isn't about basically having a one-size-fits-all solution. We're not looking to get you to replace and just forget about all your certifications you might have with AWS and so on, and say, right, this is the thing, this is what you should be using. We know that's not the case. This is a complementary solution, because every customer requirement you come across is likely to have, people have different needs, whether they don't want to have lock-in, they're price sensitive, support's important, they're high bandwidth, whatever it might be. So using Linode as an alternative is about being, helping you be cloud agnostic is the approach that a lot of our partners take. They will offer their customers 2 options, or 3 options or whatever. So, and sort of explain the differences to them. So that is the approach we're taking, which leads me quite nicely into our use cases. I'm conscious of time, so I will just go straight into this one. So obviously workloads vary hugely, but there are some trends that we see standing out. So you can there's quite a lot of text on this slide, but you can see on the left-hand side, you've got things that are popular, like people who value sort of a portable workload. So that could be websites, could be highly available, high reliability. People who don't want to be locked in to a cloud provider. They want that portability. We offer that. We are not only sort of simple to use, but we also, our focus on open source means that you can quickly move to another provider if you want to. That's part of the deal. It makes it easy to come up with or to implement multi-cloud strategies, for example. Another good use case is those things. In fact, I hear this a lot actually. Those things that are just spun up occasionally. So whether it's a backup service that runs occasionally, failover, you've got batch data processing. The big one for us, we see a lot of penetration testing. We offer Kali Linux as standard. Seems to be really popular. If you have any particularly intensive kind of compute or egress intensive workloads, then you often find that our performance to cost ratio is really good, because you not only get a lot of transfer in there, but obviously the raw compute storage, the raw compute cost is quite low in comparison to the others too. And then of course with Akamai's network, anything that's performance sensitive, media streaming, where latency is critical, all good use cases. You can see here, this is basically just a summary of that. So yeah, websites, application migrations, any legacy Linux applications we see, multi-cloud, anything that runs on the marketplace, backup. I think I've pretty much covered that already. I talked about the marketplace applications. These are some of the ones I've picked out based on what I see as being popular within the partner community. So we've got way more than this in the marketplace, but these ones in particular, things like your VPNs, we've added Ubiquiti's Unify controller. That's something you'd normally pay quite a lot to host if you wanted to host it with a cloud provider. Security solutions like Wazoo offer a real kind of depth of security features and can be save you a lot of money over some of the commercial alternatives. Odoo, I'm a big Odoo fanboy. That can replace pretty much everything. HubSpot, your CRM, your ERP, it'll host your website. I mean, there is a cost associated with that one, and we're not affiliated or anything, but I highly recommend checking that one out if you haven't. Backup services, monitoring, all these sort of things. If you're looking at building an MSP stack, there's some big savings to be had by using some of these open source applications. Some not in our marketplace. I know of a lot of partners running 3CX, things like Tactical RMM, Bitwarden, the password manager, hoping to get that one in at some point. It'd be great to have it in the marketplace. Zoho is very popular too. I will touch on our partner program briefly. So just to give you an idea, our partner program, there's no commitment to joining. You get access to that zero-tier support. You get a choice of business models. So you can have a referral or a reseller arrangement. You get access to your pre-sales and pro services. Of course, our partner team as well are on hand to give you that sort of that account management and to be proactive about making sure you're looked after, obviously. There are some, if you come to us with a proposal or you have a particular requirement for sort of marketing development funds, obviously there's some requirements around that, but nothing too onerous. We've got a full onboarding program, so within our partner portal, to get up to speed, and we also have a partner locator as well. So we're looking to make sure that we're feeding leads to you guys. So at a certain spend level, you get added to our locator, and that's quite a high traffic site, so it's well worth being part of that. As you can see there, there's our two business models. Fairly standard stuff, really. Kind of the more you spend, the more you get in the way of discount if you're a reseller. Starts at $500 a month in terms of the discount. You can, if you like, and I know we do have a number of partners that like to do this, they just want to be the consultant effectively, and they just want to refer the business to us. We do have that option available. So you get a referral fee, which goes on for 12 months. And that then enables you just to basically recommend and provide your services and charge separately for those, but know that you're doing it with a reputable provider, basically. So in fact, we're billing the customer there. We're managing that relationship. You'll see we have a self-service portal. So that's got loads of, as you'd expect, educational content in it. Also got a deal registration area, so you can let us know about any customers that you're working on. I'll let you check that out separately. There's a couple of different ways you can set up your accounts. So here, you basically, if you want to, you can just whitelist your domain and create separate accounts for each of your customers underneath your main account. So you can give them a full account of their own. You just need to let us know within the deal registration area, and we'll tie it to your account. The other alternative is that you have basically one house account, and then you can just deploy Linodes within that. And you can tag them as particular customers. You can allocate, you can give them access. So you can create a login, so they can create a user for that Linode, so they can only see that Linode. You can restrict the billing views and so on. So hopefully it's this is partner friendly as it can be. It's an area we're working on to improve as well. So, but it works pretty well in that. Those two options. In terms of your next steps then, hopefully you found that useful. It was a bit of a rattle through. I got a bit quick there at the end, I know. But in terms of your next steps, if you're interested in knowing more, the best way is just to get hands-on with Linode. Grab some free credit. We give you $100 straight away if you go to the partner page. You can use that, and if you have a chat to us, if you sign up to be a partner, or you just give us some details so we know that you're a legitimate interest, we'll extend that to $500 of credit. So it gives you plenty of credit there to spin up an application, have a look at some of those open source apps. They're really interesting, or deploy whatever it might be, a website, a particular workload on there. So in short, that is our page. So that's our Linode partner page. You've got two main calls to action there. I recommend test us out with some credit and then apply to be a partner. There's no drawback. We're not a highly sales focused organization that's going to hassle you. But if you apply, then we know you're on our system and we can then talk to you about potentially increasing your credit and basically helping you through. So, but main thing is have a test first. Have a look at the pricing. Go and do that comparison with any particular provider you're working with at the moment. Highly recommend you do that. Go to our partner website, or the main website actually, for the cost calculators. Give us a shout. Have a chat with the partner team. They'd love to know more about your business and see if we can help you. As I mentioned, register as a partner. We also have a video newsletter. So you'll see linked within the console, you should see there's an option to sign up for our newsletter, but also to our partner-specific YouTube channel. I'm particularly interested in that one because I do a lot of the content on it. So jump over there. We do a monthly roundup of everything of interest. Okay, well, listen, I will bid you farewell. Thank you very much again for your time. Really appreciate it. As I say, if you've got any questions, reach out to the team, grab yourself some credit, and hopefully we'll see you next time. We've got some more interesting webinars planned, lots of content on the way. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you very soon, hopefully, on our one of our presentations. Okay, all the best. Bye for now.